Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man's Corner channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I figured I might as well do a reaction to tell an animated video for you guys. And out of all the ones he's got on there, I'm going to go with a horror slasher character. So I decided to go with Candyman. And I love the whole story behind the Candyman myth, lore, and all that stuff. So I figured, why not? He already did an evolution of it. So I'm going to turn the camera for you guys over here, and let's get this reaction on the road, shall we? All right, here we go.
Born the son of a slave, Daniel Robitaille, a renowned artist, fell in love with and impregnated his subject, Caroline. When her father found out, he hired a lynch mob to beat Daniel, slice off his right hand, and cover him in honey, giving him his titular name, Candyman. He was then stung to death by bees. Now, whenever his name is spoken 5 times into a mirror, his ghostly apparition violently appears. This is the evolution of Candyman's looks and lore. Animated. In the first film, Candyman sports a white dress shirt, matching neck scarf, checkered pants, and his signature bulky trench coat with fuzzy brown collar and cuffs. Where his right hand used to be now sits a nailed-in hook.
I kind of like how this one looks right here, since he's the original. Because I think I remember seeing Candyman 2 and 3, and the costumes he wore in those 2 movies are not as frightening looking on him as this one is. But they're still good, though.
And that same arm appears strangely long. He has the power of levitation, can exude bees from his various orifices.
That scene right there was creepy. And I heard that Tony Todd said that he actually had baby bees in his mouth, and he almost swallowed some of them. I said, yeah, no thank you, I don't want no bees in my mouth.
And also has a Dracula-like trance power. He's called on by grad student Helen Lyle, who may or may not be his past lover reincarnated. But nonetheless, he proceeds to hypnotize her and kill her associates. Eventually, he kidnaps a baby to lure Helen in hopes that she'll join him in legend. But she instead stabs him with a fiery stake, which explodes him into bees, allowing Helen to save the baby, although she too succumbs to the fire. But she, like Candyman, can now also appear as an apparition, with a burned head, red lips, a white hospital gown.
So is she the Candy Woman? But, yeah, she got burned, the Candyman got stung to death by bees.
And she's holding Candyman's hook, essentially making her the Candy Woman.
Yeah, exactly.
In Candyman Farewell to the Flesh, Candyman's dress shirt and scarf are now blue, his pants darker, his trench coat is less bulky with an added shoulder covering, and the collar and cuffs are no longer puffy.
See what I mean? I mean, this is alright, but it almost looks like something a vampire would wear. Or maybe like that, I haven't seen the movie, but it was like a killer fisherman dude, or something like that, or similar to it. But it's still alright.
This time, he's summoned by his great-great-granddaughter, Annie, who he foolishly shows in flashbacks that his soul was apparently imprinted on a mirror prior to his death, and to destroy it would kill him, so she smashes the mirror, which shatters him like glass. In Candyman 3, Day of the Dead, Candyman's coat reincorporates the puffy cuffs and collar, is double-breasted, and lacks the shoulder coverings. But
I do like this look right here. I said, I will buy that coat.
his dress shirt is lighter, his neck piece is darker, and his hook is more angular. In this film, his great...
Hold on, let's go back to that hook right there. I actually kind of like the angular hook than the, curved over hook. I think it kind of makes it more terrifying that way with that type of hook. Oh man, imagine getting stabbed by that.
Angular. In this film, his great-great-great-granddaughter, Caroline, stupidly summons him. But when she destroys his self-portrait, he sets ablaze and explodes. Because apparently evil needs good to exist, and his paintings were his good. Or whatever. This makes no sense. So,
Yeah, that doesn't make no sense. I mean, like, you shattered a mirror that had a spirit in it or whatever, and then he falls to pieces in that movie, but then he comes back in the third one. But then you shred and burn his painting, and then he burns. That don't make no sense, but anyway.
Moving on. Ignoring all the previous sequels events, the latest film introduces a new Candyman, Sherman Fields. He wears a yellow trench coat with a puffy white lapel.
I kind of like the storyline of this movie right here, but basically saying that Daniel Robitaille is not the only Candyman. He's the first one. And then you got all these other guys that show up that are victims, in other words, like him.
Beige pants, and he has a prosthetic split hook hand.
That actually looks cool.
Sherman, when alive, gave out candy to local children, but he was falsely accused of...
Yeah, I hate that right there. I hated that whole type of motive right there. Be like, that's the only reason he became Candyman, because he was racially profiled, just giving people candy, and somebody got like a razor blade in one of them, but he wanted his candy. So they kill him, and then guess what? More candy shows up with razor blades, so they know he was innocent. That is...
of adding razor blades to the candy, and then beaten to death by the police.
Yeah, that.
Now, when undead, he appears battered and has a more classic-looking hook. In this film, Anthony McCoy, the baby from the first film, now an artist himself, becomes obsessed with Candyman's history and summons him. But after being stung by a bee,
Yeah, he summons the Sherman Fields Candyman. He knows some of the Daniel Robitaille one.
honeycomb-like rash crawls off his body. His right eye appears cloudy, and he becomes nearly catatonic, allowing a Candyman believer to chop off...
That was a crazy scene right there. It'd be like, that guy right here snapped and started cutting his hand off and put a hook on him just like the others. I was like, really?
Of his hand and replace it with a hook. This Anthony Candyman wears an artist jumpsuit and a plaid trench.
I liked how he looked too. I mean, he's more like a modern interpretation of Candyman. Same basic style though, long coat and a hook.
Code. After he's wrongfully shot down by the police, his girlfriend summons him the usual way, and the now undead Anthony takes revenge on the racist cops, turning him into a more superhero-like Candyman for the black community. Notably, his reflection sometimes appears as other unseen Candymen, and he can also shapeshift into Daniel Robitaille. But either way you slice it, all of these Candymen are
Which, that was cool.
much different than the original novella that describes him as a disheveled man with yellowish skin, which would probably work much better for a Simpson parody.
Yeah, it probably would. Okay, folks, that was my reaction to Teleanimated's evolution of Candyman. And like I said, both Daniel Robitaille, Sherman Fields, and Anthony McCoy, or I shouldn't say both, like, you know, like those three guys and then the other unseen Candyman. I hated what happened for them, in other words, in order for them to become Candyman. I mean, that's just wrong. But there's one thing that I still didn't get. Sherman Fields has already got a prosthetic hook hand, right? Well, you don't see how he got the hook like Candyman, so I don't know. Did one of the cops already have a hook and placed it on him when he died? Or I know that makes nonsense right there. Or did it just happen when his spirit became Candyman? Like, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I mean, that's weird. But anyway, that's going to be it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications for more animated reactions like this. As always, this has been another successful installment of the Tin Man's Corner channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. And I say that's a wrap, and have a nice day, buddy.